Welcome to Doha, the glittering capital of Qatar. Now this is my first time here, so let's go have a little look around and see what Doha has got to offer. Good morning and welcome back to the channel. We are in the center of Doha now, and the first location that we're going to cover is Doha Corniche, a 7-kilometer promenade along the shoreline of the Qatari capital. You'll find traditional dhow fishing boats as well as parks and cycling lanes here. The Corniche is also home to several landmarks, including the Pearl Monument, which depicts an open oyster referencing the region's pearl fishing heritage, as well as the FIFA World Cup sign and clock. The 2022 Qatar FIFA World Cup was arguably the largest international event held in the country, and Lionel Messi's Argentina were crowned champions after one of the best finals ever.
Argentina, champions of the world!
Overall, the promenade is a lovely place for a stroll with a view of the city's skyline. As we are heading to the next location, let's talk a bit about the history of Qatar. The region of modern Qatar was an important camel breeding and pearl trading center throughout the Middle Ages. It was ruled by several foreign empires, including among others the Umayyad Caliphate, the Abbasid Caliphate, the Portuguese, the Ottomans and the British. In the mid-20th century, Qatar was under the protection of the British Empire, much like the Trucial States, a group of loosely connected tribal entities. In the 1930s, massive oil reserves were discovered in Qatar, but these would only be fully exploited a few decades later. In the 1960s, the Trucial States started negotiating the formation of an independent union state. That union state would later become the United Arab Emirates. Both Qatar and Bahrain were supposed to join the UAE, but they ended up withdrawing from the negotiations and forming their own countries. As such, Qatar became an independent state in 1971. Qatar has the third largest natural gas reserves in the world, and those natural resources brought the country massive wealth. Today, Qatar consistently ranks among the richest countries in the world according to their GDP per capita. Even though oil and gas are still the primary revenue drivers, the country's economy has been diversified significantly, with tourism now accounting for about 10% of Qatar's GDP. We are now heading toward Souq Waqif, one of the city's main historic sites. Doha's vibrant marketplace was built in the late 19th century and has been meticulously restored, preserving its historic architecture. You can buy all types of traditional handicrafts, garments and local delicacies here. I visited on a Friday around 1 p.m, so there wasn't much going on yet, but walking through the narrow alleyways certainly immerses you into the local shopping culture. The souk is also home to a variety of cafes and restaurants, so I decided to get some lunch. I went for a plate of hummus with minced meat and some pita bread. It was delicious and quite well priced. After lunch, it was time to check out one of the city's main cultural institutions. Among others, the best museums in Doha include the Qatar Center, a cultural village with art galleries, mosques, traditional buildings, and an amphitheater. Another cultural site is the National Museum. Newly opened in 2019, the National Museum holds a collection of 8,000 artifacts covering different historical eras. And last but not least, the Museum of Islamic Art is arguably the most recognizable structure in all of Doha. As I was short on time, I decided to focus on that one. The MIA was completed in 2008 and is located on an artificial island. The limestone facade and general architecture are inspired by Middle Eastern mosques and palaces. The building was designed by renowned Chinese-American architect I.M. Pei, who also designed the Pyramid of the Louvre in Paris. As we are heading inside, I have to say that I find it spectacular. It is the perfect blend of understatement, style, and heritage. Not too much pomp, but striking and eye-catching nonetheless. So, what is inside? The collection is very impressive, with various permanent and a few temporary exhibitions. The museum chronicles over 14 centuries of Islamic history through different works of art. During my visit, one of the temporary exhibitions featured some gorgeous Persian carpets. I found this museum super interesting because it is very unique. It presents local artifacts and doesn't try to emulate famous museums in Europe or North America. I spent about 2 hours in here and I would undoubtedly return. Definitely worth a visit if you are in Doha. As my day in the Qatari capital is coming to an end, I will walk the 2 or so kilometers to my hotel and give you some more impressions and also my conclusions on Doha. The time now is about 5:30 p.m. and you can see that the city is coming to life. Akin to other places in the Middle East, the streets become a lot more active after sunset as a result of the intense heat. Now, the first thing I wanted to mention is that I love the multicultural vibes of Doha. Between 85 and 90% of the population are foreigners, with Indians, Bangladeshi and Nepali making up the largest groups. There are, however, also sizable Filipino, African, Arabic, European and North American expat communities. Consequently, you encounter a lot of nationalities and cultures on a daily basis, which I really like. Another positive aspect of traveling in Doha is that this is one of the cleanest places I've ever seen. No trash, no homelessness, no begging, no hassling, and a very respectful atmosphere in general. On a similar note, the infrastructure is top-notch. The metro system is one of the best in the Middle East and covers pretty much the entire city. Better still, a day ticket is only 6 Qatari Riyal, which is a fraction of what you would pay in London or New York. And interestingly enough, the metro even has a first-class VIP section. Finally, I love the fact that Doha is really modern, but authentic and historic at the same time. It doesn't feel fake at all, and by and large, it seems like a very well-planned city that merges tradition and development. So what is there not to like in Doha? Well, it isn't cheap, but still much more affordable than cities like LA, Paris or Singapore. Alcohol is really expensive and strictly regulated, but that is a cultural aspect of traveling in the Middle East. So don't expect to find $3 beers in the supermarket, you won't. And yeah, Qatar is a conservative Islamic country, and if you come here, you have to abide by the rules. But that is part of traveling, and I wouldn't see it in a negative way. So yeah, overall, this is an amazing place to visit, and one day is definitely not enough. I actually had 4 layovers at Doha airport in the past, and I am really happy that I finally left the airport and got to explore a bit. And this is where I'm staying, the Al Asil Hotel. Qatar being one of the wealthiest nations on the planet, I did not expect to find any bargains, but this was amazing value for money. I paid around $45 for this lovely double room, and the hotel also has a pool and a gym. It is strategically located halfway between the airport and the center on the red metro line. And that is it for today. As always, thanks very much for watching and see you in the next one. Goodbye.